Good evening, folks, and welcome to this week's episode of Beer Rating with Sean Connors. It's May 6th, 2020, so we're still in the pandemic, so hopefully everybody's doing well there. For the month of May, I have this bad boy box. Now, normally I try not to do beers from the same brewery back-to-back type of thing, but I came across this pack there over Christmas, and my niece, Michelle, she was on one of my episodes there at Christmas. She actually gave me a gift card for Christmas, and this is what I got. So it's 4 historic beers of Scotland. So I'm really interested to try these, as they're a little bit out of the ordinary, so we'll see how it goes. Whether or not I like them, most times if I see a beer, I'll read the label or try to get a little bit of information. I can normally, for the most part, tell whether I'm going to really like it or not like it, or what the case might be. These ones I have no idea. So for the month of May, I'm going to try all 4 of these beers. So I'll read the box, see what we can get. I'm not even sure which one I'm going to have right now. Historic Ales of Scotland. So Scotland, we know, is part of the UK. It's the most northern part of the UK. Normally, for the most part, when people think Scotland, for drink-wise, they probably think of Scottish whiskey. Not really ales or beers as such. However, Scotland does have a long history as being brewers of ales. High quality ales at that. I mean, if you think of Newcastle, that's a Scottish name. And from my understanding, a little bit of research I did in my book here, the beer Bible as I call it, they were actually a pretty competitive IPA maker back in the day until Trent took it over. But they were pretty well there exporting IPA to a good degree. Also, the commercial brewing trade, once again, I got this in my book, that's the Oxford Companion of Beer. They say the commercial brewing trade was actually started in Scotland, specifically by Benedict monks in the 12th century. So we're talking about, quite a few years. And that was specifically in and around Edinburgh. And they say they had a lot of fresh springs, so a lot of good quality water, and they also had their barley. I know one of these beers specifically doesn't have hops at all, because a lot of the beers back in the day in northern climates, growing hops just wasn't feasible. They didn't have the climate for it, so a lot of times they would have to be exported in, and it became times where basically it was just too expensive to get it in, or it could be that they were at war with hop producing countries. So a lot of times they would use, specifically in Britain, they would use other items instead of hops. Heather is one of them. Myrtle is another one. I also read broom, but I have no idea what broom, so I assume that's some type of plant. So although you might not necessarily think of Scotland right away when you think of beer countries, they do have quite the history of producing beers. Alright, so the 4 I have here, we have Gooseberry Ale, we have a Heather Ale, a Scots Pine Ale, and an Elderberry Black Ale. So I don't think I've had any of those before. I've never had Gooseberry, Heather, Scots Pine, or Elderberry. So we'll see how it goes. What other information? On the back of it is a little bit of information. It says, historic ales from Scotland. These ales have been produced from ancient traditional brewing recipes from as far back as 2000 BC. The unique wild ingredients are foraged by hand near a brewery in Scotland. And then the name of the brewery is William Brothers Brewing Company. Best before December 2020, so I'm still good to go there. And they actually have a list of the 5 different beers that they produce. But it says, due to the seasonal nature of our products, this carton contains 4 bottles from the following selection. And they have their Heather flavored ale, which is 5.5% alcohol. And that one says ingredients: water, barley, malt, heather, myrtle, hops, and yeast. The other one is they call it the Grozet. That's a gooseberry flavored ale. 5.0% alcohol. Water, barley, malt, gooseberries, myrtle, hops, wheat, and yeast. Then they have what they call their Alba. That's a Scots Pine flavored strong. 7.5% alcohol. So pretty high up there. Ingredients: water, barley, malt, pine, spruce, and yeast. So that's the one. The Scots Pine, there is no hops. And their Elderberry flavored strong, that's 6.5. Water, barley, malt, elderberries, myrtle, oats, hops, and yeast. And then they have another one, their Kelpie, which is not in the box, but you might find someday, and that's a seaweed flavored ale. And it's water, barley, malt, hops, seaweed, yeast. Well, that's an interesting one as well. Alright, so let's crack this open and see what we're going to drink tonight. Once again, not quite sure which one I'm going to have. I think I'm going to try the Gooseberry ale. So see if there's any other information. Not really. Sharp, refreshing, pale, golden ale with citrus notes. 5% of alcohol. And they call this one the Grozet. It says the most convivial of ales, as described and offered in bid by the bard himself, has become the adopted beer of the bohemian vagabonds of the Scottish art scene. A pale golden brew, cold stored with gooseberries, to deliver a sharp, refreshing, drinkable experience. And that's about it. So I'll give my glass a quick cold water rinse. I'll check this one out. I like golden ales, so hopefully I'll like this one. I've never tasted a gooseberry, so I don't know if I like gooseberries or not, but we're going to find out very soon. Wow, really, really light color. Like from the color alone, if that was all I was seeing, I would almost think more of a lager color than an ale. It's definitely got the ale aroma, kind of a fruity aroma to it. A little bit of head there. Quite honestly, tastes like a typical pale ale to me. As I said, I've never had a gooseberry, so I don't know if gooseberries are strong flavored or not. It's not bad. A little bit of aftertaste, not a bad aftertaste, but it's not overly in your face flavors, but it's definitely got a flavor that lingers a little bit. Not a bad flavor either, but as I said, to me it tastes like a typical pale ale, which is not a bad thing by any means. Yeah, it's not bad. I can definitely finish it. Anybody who watches the episodes regularly, last week I actually had my first 1.0, which to me is a drain pour. It means I poured it down the drain. I couldn't even finish it. So for something that I wasn't quite sure what I was getting into, it's not bad. Now my ratings, as I said, a 1 is a drain pour. Can't drink it. It's going down the drain. Doesn't happen very often. Last week, first time ever. A 2 is, yeah, I'm not a big fan, but I'll finish it. I don't want to waste the beer. A 3 is a good beer, a 4 is a very good beer, and the 5 would be the best beer I've ever had. This one, I'm leaning towards 3.5, which means it's a good beer. I wouldn't hesitate to have another one, but it's not something that's like, oh my god, I have to have another one. Decisions. It's definitely flavorful, I'll give it that much. Once again, I only give full points or half points. I can give a 3 or a 3.5. I don't do 3.2 or 3.25. If I did, honestly, I think this one would be somewhere around a 3.25. But I don't do that, so I'm going to have to give it either a 3 or a 3.0. Sorry, a 3.0 or 3.5. And for the William Brothers Brewing Company out of Scotland, the Grozet Gooseberry Ale, I'm going to give it a 3.0. I'm enjoying it, but I don't think, I'd go out of my way for another one. If I had another one, by all means, I'd definitely drink it without hesitation. So 3 is not a bad rating, don't get me wrong. So here you go, folks, for my first gooseberry of my historic ales, 3.0. Hopefully I can see you next week when we tackle another one of these. Don't know which one, we'll find out then. Till then, folks, as always, enjoy responsibly. Cheers. Wash your hands. Let's get through this pandemic together.